So welcome everyone to the Comet Community Office Hours. My name is Emily Lewis and I'm the Content and Community Manager here at Comet. That means it's my job to connect you, our wonderful community, with the tools and people of Comet. So today we'll be chatting with one of our MLOps engineers, Chase Fortier. Chase is a technical expert who specializes in helping customers get the most out of the Comet platform. Chase, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, hey everyone. As Emily said, I'm Chase. Been at Comet a few months now, and yeah, excited to tell you all a little bit more about what I do and my background and everything.
Yeah, so why don't you kind of kick it off? How did you even get started in the data science machine learning space?
Yeah, totally. So I would say my journey with data science, like interests, really started in my schooling, at least to some extent. So like in high school, I was definitely always a numbers gal and enjoyed my math and statistics classes the most. Wouldn't say I was doing data science as a high schooler, but certainly knew that was an area of interest. Going into college, I started by majoring in applied math, started taking some econ classes on the side, and kind of through that happened upon an econometrics course. Actually, I think that's where I started to like really get a taste of data science and how it could be applied to the real world, slash how the like stats and math stuff I'd been learning my life could actually be applied to like economic or socioeconomic problems, and using data sets to find interesting trends, etc. So I think that was an aha moment for me where I was like, this is super cool. I'm working with dummy data sets here, but I can definitely see the potential in the real world scenario. So from there, I then started taking more database econ classes and also picked up a statistics and analytics minor, took more like pure data science courses, picked up like R and Python skills, and definitely knew at that point that that was a strong area of interest for me and wanted to continue my journey post college into the industry of data science kind of generally. Yeah, so I guess that's where it all started. And then I guess I could also talk about my career progression unless you want me to kind of pause there.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people are interested. This space, especially like MLOps, is still new. I think we'd love to hear more how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So my job right out of college was, I'd say, tangentially related to the data science space. So I was working in the really like healthcare tech space, specifically reporting in the healthcare space. So was managing or helping to manage and support large databases of patient data and other health related data. So that was really interesting in that it was driving a lot of healthcare related reporting. But the data also was used to drive and create slash train models to help with patient outcomes. For example, maybe early sepsis detection to reduce mortality rates due to sepsis, and a number of other healthcare specific applications. So that was an interesting insight into AI and ML in the real world, and how maybe the best example of how you can use AI and ML to save lives and like really make a huge difference in the world and a positive impact. So that was of high interest to me. I wasn't a data scientist myself, but like I said, got to see those outcomes and help with supporting the databases that would drive those model trainings, but wanted to go into a role then that would be more purely in data science, whether that is building my own data science models or helping other data scientists build their models more efficiently. So that kind of brought me to the MLOps space as well, and Comet specifically. So as an MLOps engineer, I now get to work on some projects where I'm building out ML models myself, whether that's to demonstrate Comet's capabilities for specific use cases, and also get to talk to a ton of different data scientists and kind of solution how Comet can best meet their needs so they can more efficiently build ML models. So definitely now I'm in more of the weeds of things, of actually in the model development process, whether that's the MLOps space of showing how we can better track that development process in Comet, or doing some data science work myself and creating some interesting examples.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's definitely, I love hearing about kind of the AI for good and like the ethical AI movement. Yeah, it's crazy, especially in healthcare. Like the applications of some of these projects are just phenomenal. So,
Yes.
yeah, really cool that you've gotten to do that. So, MLOps is obviously a term that we generally say covers the process of creating machine learning models. But how do you personally define MLOps and how do you think about that in your kind of day to day job?
Definitely. So I would say MLOps is the system of tools that allow data scientists to bring their models all the way from development, even data wrangling and data set preprocessing to production and beyond in a much more efficient way than we have been in the past. So that means you can build better models faster by providing a system of record in the development process, having tools that will automate some of the data set preprocessing so you're not doing monotonous tasks every day, having a repeatable deployment process that will be streamlined and not painful, since productionizing an ML model is also a huge task unto itself. It's not just finishing the model like we learn in school, it's then having to productionize it, which can, yeah, be quite a process. And then also, once the model is deployed, having a system of monitoring that's repeatable and easy to use so that you know how your model is performing in production. So really, there's a ton of different tools that can fall under the MLOps umbrella, but it's really trying to make every step of that ML development process more efficient so you can focus on building more models and driving better outcomes. Also, just keeping track of those outcomes to ensure that the goal of the model is being met. Certainly cool to see all of the tools recently that have been coming up in the MLOps space, because it will only help like move the industry forward in general because of the time savings.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're talking about like huge, massive amounts of data and these huge models that need to be running and constantly updating, just, yeah, making it as streamlined and as cohesive as possible. Definitely important.
Yeah, definitely. And I talk to a ton of data scientists on a daily basis just in the role I'm in now, and have definitely found that it is still very common to not have a super robust MLOps stack. So that's certainly not a unique problem for anyone out there that doesn't have a like full MLOps tooling solution, but that can make the process very painful. So overall, is cool to see that the industry is starting to move forward though with the features available.
Yeah. Yeah, you brought up a good point. So you get to work with a ton of different data science teams, machine learning engineers. What has been, I know you've joined us somewhat recently, but what's been your favorite project or favorite maybe like application of Comet that you've seen since you started?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll say one of like my favorite parts about my job is just the fact that I get to talk to data scientists from every industry. So whether that finance or retail or the entertainment industry or more like pure AI applications like self-driving cars, it's been super interesting to just think about all of the use cases out there that I wouldn't have immediately associated with AI and ML. It seems like any large organization today has a data science team, whether you know it or not, and are doing some sort of modeling, whether that's trying to drive the improve sales or improve process or marketing, or something more purely AI like developing self-driving cars. And I think honestly, self-driving car examples is maybe my favorite, and that it's like such a cool and cutting edge technology. I feel like at the moment it's somewhat at the pinnacle of AI and ML and the potential and future of the space. So just overall kind of showing the extent to which we can automate our daily tasks is interesting. And there's certainly a lot of other AI and ML models that automate things for us without us even thinking about it. But that's really cool in that it's self-driving cars and just automation in general, I feel like has an inherent impact to anyone's life of just saving you time to do things that you prefer. So you don't have to, in the future, sit in the car driving for 12 hours. You can, I don't know, read a book or do whatever else is interesting to you during that time. Yeah, overall, have been excited about the many applications I've learned about, but really the automation, self-driving cars, et cetera, has been cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of us too grew up with the kind of, oh, in 2030 we're gonna have flying cars and oh, we don't have to do anything anymore. And it's, oh, maybe we are actually gonna make that happen now. Like we're pretty
Yeah,
close. So
yeah, exactly. Suddenly it feels more like reality, which is wild.
yeah, yeah, definitely always fun to see as a non-technical person. I'm still blown away by half the applications of data
Yeah.
science and ML. And like you said, a lot of companies have teams of data scientists and you wouldn't even think about it. So
Hmm.
it's yeah, just really cool to see ML come to life.
Totally.
And you've actually gotten to attend a few in-person events recently. So, do you have a favorite part of going to these conferences or these summits? I'm sure some of it is like kind of learning what's cutting edge, what's brand new, but I'd love to hear your sort of main takeaways now that we're doing these bigger in-person events again.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like one cool thing is just in general been to see how much the industry is growing. So I went to MLOps World recently in Toronto, ML Week that was in Vegas. There have been a couple others as well that I haven't attended, but even just hearing about the growth of the event itself is really cool. So there's up to 500 attendees now at these events, where it started out a few years ago at probably under 100. But at the event itself, one, it's been super cool to continue meeting new people in the data science industry and hear about their applications. So I feel like that's great to have. There's those face-to-face conversations, learning more about what data scientists are doing to drive the industry forward, and also just getting to hear about the different MLOps tools. So MLOps World obviously is very focused on MLOps. So that was a really cool opportunity. I actually got to attend some of those sessions myself to think about tools outside of just experiment management and model production monitoring, which is the areas that Comet focuses on, but some of those other areas that maybe Comet would integrate with. So whether that is a tool for data set pre-processing or streamlined data labeling, which is something that can be painful and costly, or tools to make orchestration of your model trainings more efficient and easy, tools for deploying those models. I just got to hear more about the broad range of tools, which still just got me more excited about the MLOps industry and all of these ways that data scientists will be saving time.
Yeah, and it definitely is, I think, an industry where you have to continue to learn because the
Yes.
second that you're like, oh, I think I get everything, there's 10 new tools that have come up and you have to like
Yes.
stay on top of it. So I'm sure you also spend a lot of time like in talking to customers and talking to teams, learning. But do you have any kind of go-to places if you're curious about a new topic or you've heard of a new tool or any resources that you could recommend for any of our listeners or watchers who may feel a little overwhelmed by the
Yeah.
amount of things to learn, but who want to continue education?
Yeah, that's a great question. Totally true. That is constantly changing. I feel like there's at least one call each week. I hear some new term that I haven't heard of or style of data science that I get to learn about. So that's also something that I really love about this role and being in the industry is just I know that I still have a lot to learn and will pretty much never be able to catch up so that I can continue using my brain. But a few resources that have been helpful to me are just like getting weekly or even daily publications sent, like Deep Learning Weekly is a good one. Towards Data Science is another, I guess it isn't a publication that I get emails about, but it's often a site where I will go to see articles and examples that other data scientists and practitioners have published about how they're using specific machine learning libraries, et cetera. I'm trying to think if there are any else. I'd say those are the two that I go to the most. Deep Learning Weekly, just to get like highlights in my inbox about up and coming technologies, and then Towards Data Scientists, I dive into whatever it is I'm trying to learn about.
Awesome. Yeah. And I imagine that the whole kind of MLOps engineering team also has a lot of conversations and a lot of like Slack messages about new things that are coming up
Yes.
and calls. Yeah, I'm sure I very much applaud you for being able to stay on top of all of it. It's definitely a lot. But yeah, those are both great resources. And of course, Heartbeat is another one, also hosted
Yes.
on Medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely always something new to learn. So of course you do a lot of amazing things at work here at Comet. But what do you like to do in your free time? Where are we most likely going to find you outside of work?
Yeah. Good question. I would say generally, I really love to spend time outdoors. So in the summer, I really like hiking and backpacking and camping. Just came back from a trip. I went backpacking up Mount Washington this past weekend, which was really lovely. I'm living in New York City right now, so it's like a little bit more difficult to have those moments, but it makes it more of an exciting retreat when I get to go into the woods. And then in the winter, I like to ski, which I guess is a winter equivalent of hiking.
Yeah, love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm sure in New York, it's nice to be able to step away every now and then and get that kind of green space.
Yes, totally. And also
Awesome.
really appreciated the like remote work setting, and that it allows me to do more of that when I want to get out of the city. I can go to my parents' house in Vermont and have a breath for a week or so and see family and be in the mountains if I want and everything. So that's been great as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you someone that's found the shift to remote first work has been ultimately really beneficial, or do you occasionally like miss seeing folks in the office or kind of separating your sort of living space versus your workspace?
Yes, I really love the remote first shift, I guess. I think it's provided a lot of flexibility and like improvements to just like work-life balance in general. Like I said, having the flexibility to take a break from the city or visit family and friends when needed, etc., I think is huge. I definitely enjoy the face-to-face interactions. So having those to some extent, whether that's through going to conferences with coworkers or like at least Comet does quarterly meetups with either your team or the whole company. So that's been huge as well, to at least know the people and make those connections that to the people I'm zooming with every day. But overall, very happy with the remote flexibility, which has been great.
Yeah, definitely occasionally makes things a little difficult in terms of scheduling across all of the time zones. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's been really beneficial, definitely allows you to have a little bit more control. If you can work outside when it's nice and sunny, like all the better.
Yeah, exactly, which is really lovely.
Awesome. Cool. Chase, thank you so much for joining us. For people interested, you can actually learn more from Chase by checking out a recent webinar that we did on reproducibility and machine learning. I'm going to link that down below. So that has Chase and then another awesome member of the Comet team, Kristen. And of course, as Chase mentioned, if you want to dive deeper, if you want to really stay on top of industry news, dive into certain subjects, be sure to subscribe to Deep Learning Weekly. It's honestly the best newsletter for all things deep learning in the industry and academia. I'll leave a link for that below as well. That is through Substack, and that's something that will show up in your inbox every single week, and you can just get the brief highlight really as easy as possible to get all the information that you need. So Chase, thank you again so much for joining us. For everyone watching, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and connect with us on Twitter and LinkedIn to be notified when our next episode goes live, and of course to watch all of the previous episodes. So thank you everyone so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, everyone.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to pop in at the end of this video to introduce you to a couple of our Heartbeat articles that I think you might find interesting. As we talked about with Chase, there are so many amazing things being done around ethical AI, sustainable AI, and different ML and AI applications in industries like healthcare. So I wanted to highlight the work of Vidi Chu, who has done amazing work around ethical AI. She's recently published a piece called Ethical AI Solution Architects. She's also done a number of pieces around the sort of definition of ethical AI and how you can use AI for good. We also had a fantastic article from Amit Sehgal called Sustainable AI, a Guide for Responsible Data Scientists. And this article specifically highlights the UN's kind of 17 sustainable development goals and how AI and machine learning can work to achieve some of these goals. So really encourage you all to take a look. Of course, I'm going to link those down at the end of the video. And if you want to write for us, if this is something that you're doing, if this is something that you're interested in or passionate about, please reach out and be in touch. We would absolutely love to have your voice on Heartbeat. Of course, we have our call for contributors page. You can also just reach out to me directly, either on the Comet Slack. Be sure you're a member of that community, or by reaching out to me through email. That's emily@comet.com. Really look forward to sharing more of these fantastic articles with you and hopefully hearing your voice as well.